Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Steve. I'm the IELTS, OET, and PT trainer from UCAN English Tutoring, one of the leading institutions based in Maria, New South Wales, Australia. I've been helping more than 12,000 students since 2008 to pass their IELTS, PT, and OET academic examinations. In today's video, I would like to illustrate some useful strategies and do's and don'ts that can help you out to pass your OET writing subtest in one attempt itself. Let's go through the video now. Firstly, you need to know what you have to do before you prepare for the examination during the examination day as well. Firstly, when you get the writing case notes, it is really important that you spend some time to read the task requirements carefully and understand what is expected from you. You need to know the expectations of the examiners for your writing subtest so that you can fulfill them correctly. Remember that you have to use synonyms of the keywords of the case notes and paraphrase or summarize large pieces of information presented in the case notes in your letter. In your letter, you need to use the synonyms. Remember that. You should not copy the same words from the case notes and present them in the letter. It's not good. Please try to write between 180 and 200 words in the body of the letter. So the body of your letter should usually contain between 180 and 200 words only. Spend some time to plan what you're going to write in full in your letter. You need to brainstorm the ideas on how your letter could be organized well before you start writing. Planning is the most underestimated step as far as the writing is concerned. Not many students do spare some time to plan what they are going to do. They immediately start writing down the letter without planning and they fail. Most of them fail because of the lack of planning and proofreading. Remember that 40 minutes are not given only for the writing, it is given for planning, writing, and proofreading. Please identify this and follow the same thing in the original examination as well. So before they give 40 minutes for you to write down, they will give you 5 minutes to read the case notes. You need to read the case notes very effectively and then understand the task set by asking a range of questions yourself. The first thing you need to ask you is what is your role in the writing task? What you are going to act as? And where are you working? Are you working as a nurse, for example, in the aged care? Or are you going to be a nurse in the hospital and things like that? So you need to clearly know what your roles and accountabilities are. Then you need to know who is your addressee, to whom you are writing down the letter to. Because knowing the addressee and stepping into the shoes of the addressee is critical for high score in OET writing subtask. All right, let's go through the remaining questions. You also have to ask yourself whether the addressee knows the patient already. And then you have to ask what is the present condition of the patient? Does he or she require urgent attention or not? What is the main information you need to convey to the addressee? I mean, what is the main point that you have to convey? What are the important supporting details to be shared with the addressee? So what are the other supporting information that the addressee must know? What kinds of background details need to be included in the letter to help the addressee to provide better care to the patient? You need to ensure that after your handover of your patient to the addressee, the care must be maintained in the same way. To achieve that, you need to provide all the necessary information to the addressee. You have to provide The information such as precautions, restrictions, follow-up results, and so on, allergic information, and so on. So there are lots of information that you have to include in your letter. Okay, you need to ensure that you have included all the relevant information in your letter so that the patient's care will not be compromised. Okay, and then you have to ask what kinds of details from the case notes should be omitted in your letter and why. You need to ask yourself, because you should not copy all the case notes from the letter when you present the information to the addressee. For instance, if the addressee is a family doctor, you don't need to include the social or family background or the medical history, because the GP already has information about all these things. And as a result, you need to clearly know what information is relevant and what should be avoided. I hope this one is useful to you. Let's go through the next point. Please provide the present condition of the patient in the beginning of your letter itself. It is really important that you present the present condition in the beginning of your letter itself. Write down the names, dates, address, and other details of the addressee and patient correctly. Do not change the prefix of the addressee or the patient. For example, in the writing task, they might have mentioned Mr. Do not change it to Miss. Do not change it to Mrs. Okay, or the other way around. Do not change the date as well. And don't change the name of the patient. Sometimes you do misspell the name of the patient or the address, which is really bad. You have to be really careful when you have to write down the names, dates, address, and other details pertaining to the addressee and the patient. Please leave a blank line between two paragraphs or two sections for easy reading. You need to ensure that the examiner shouldn't have any problems in reading the information and interpreting that. If you do not give any blank line between two sections or paragraphs, it is going to make the reader really harder for them to understand what you have written down. And it's not a good idea to do that. So please leave a blank line in between. You need to start every paragraph with the main idea phrase to clearly state what the whole paragraph is all about. It is really important that you write down a well structured letter. You also have to use connecting phrases to link the sentences and paragraphs together. It's really important that you write down a cohesive letter. Okay, so the ideas in the letter should flow in the correct direction so that the purpose can be clearly understood by the addressee and the patient care will be provided at its best. You need to spell the words correctly in your letter. Remember that. Spelling is one of the underestimated assessment criteria by students, but it's not good. I mean, if you commit many spelling mistakes, please stop doing that. If the letter is messy, use arrows to show the sequence of the events for the reader to follow. Also, strike out the incorrect sentence. If a sentence is completely incorrect, try to strike out so that the addressee doesn't read that sentence. Okay. Please use a range of sentence structures such as simple, complex, and compound. Don't just write down simple sentence alone in your letter. It's not a good idea to do that. The reason is that if you are aiming at B grade or A grade, it is really important that you are able to have a good control on the use of language. How can you show this to the reader? You can demonstrate your ability of the use of language by using a range of sentence structures such as simple, complex, and compound. Please spend some time to proofread your letter and rectify the mistakes. It is really important that you spend about 4 to 5 minutes to proofread what you have written down and rectify the mistakes. What kinds of mistakes do people usually commit? Well, there are several kinds of mistakes, such as grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, the inappropriate use of prepositions, articles, nouns, verbs, spacing, and also the inappropriate use of small letters and capital letters in a letter. As a result, it is really important that you spend some time to proofread what you have written down and then identify those mistakes and try to remove them or replace them with the correct phrases. Please spend 4 to 5 minutes for this particular task. If you commit more mistakes, then you have to spend more time. If you commit less mistakes, you can spend about 2 to 3 minutes only. That's fine. So it actually depends on the number of mistakes you commit in your regular practice test. What are the don'ts? Now we have gone through the do's. I mean, what we have to do when we have to write down a letter. Now we are going to talk about the don'ts, what you should stay away from. Whether it is the IELTS examination, PTE, or OET, there are some things that you should be aware of and you shouldn't follow them during the exam. What are they? In the OET letter, you should not include the irrelevant information from the case notes in your letter. Do not include the irrelevant information. Okay, what kinds of irrelevant information? Well, if the addressee already knows the family background of the patient, do not include the same thing once again because it is irrelevant, of course. It's already known by the addressee. So, including the same information once again is not going to help much. Do not copy the same words from the case notes into your letter. That is again another issue. See, the examiner would like to see you showing good lexical resources. In other words, the examiner would like to see you using a range of words such as synonyms, less frequently used words, and so on to show your vocabulary. So it is really important that you don't copy the words from the case notes into your letter, please. Do not use informal words, abbreviations, medical acronyms, symbols, and brackets. It is highly recommended not to use any of these things because letter is always formal. It is going to be 100% formal, and as a result, the examiner would like to see you expanding all the abbreviations, medical acronyms, symbols, and brackets. You don't need to use brackets at all. Please stay away from that. Okay. Do not follow the same order of the information in your letter. The way we have to order, the way we have to provide the sequence of the information should be dependent on the task. When you go to the writing task, you must be able to get to know that. And that's how we need to introduce. Do not write down the words. Do not write down words in the notes form in your letter. I mean, you should always expand the words. You cannot use the words in the notes form. You should not do that. Please do not do that. Stay away from that. Do not write sentences without connecting phrases and do not overuse them. There are two things. You shouldn't underuse the connecting phrases or overuse. But you need to use connecting phrases to link the sentences together and also paragraphs. Do not write down one information more than once. The problem with presentation features of the OET letter is that many people fail to write down one information only once. They write down the same information in the introduction paragraph and then sometimes in the concluding paragraph as well, which is not good. You need to ensure that you present one information once only, please. Do not write down the same words again and again. It is really important that you don't write down the same words again and again. Use their synonyms. Instead of writing down assessment again and again, you can use evaluation. Or you can also change the noun form of assessment to the verb form of assess. I mean, could you please assess his conditions? Okay, instead of writing, could you please perform assessment? It's okay to write down, could you please assess his conditions and provide appropriate treatment? Okay, something like that. Do not misspell the words in your letter. You should not misspell the words. You need to spend some time to proofread the spelling of your letter, and then you have to correct the spelling as well. Do not change the prefix or the gender pronouns in your letter. This is one of the common mistakes made by majority of the students. What they do is they start with the Mr. in the introduction paragraph, and then down the track they say Mrs. or Miss. They may also change the gender pronouns from his to her, or his to she or he, or so on. So they change the gender pronouns, which is not good. Do not commit grammatical mistakes when you write down the letter. It's really important that you don't commit any grammar mistakes. Okay? Please do not commit any grammar mistakes when you write down the letter. Don't assume that 40 minutes need to be used only for writing the letter. No. Please refrain from using the whole 40 minutes just to write down the letter. You need to spend some time for planning and some time for proofreading. Ideally, 4 to 5 minutes for planning and another 4 to 5 minutes for proofreading is highly recommended. Please do not hand over the answer sheet without proofreading it, because as we are all human beings, we do commit several mistakes when we write. Remember that writing is not our everyday practice. We don't write anything on a regular basis, right? So it's really important that you proofread whatever you have written on in your letter. Do not write more than 220 words, as you may have included some unimportant case notes that will have a negative impact on your score. If you write more than 220 words, whatever the information that you're going to write after this word limit will not be taken into account for the assessment. So if you have included an important information, for example, the allergic reaction of something, or if he is allergic to something else, um, if you have included that after 220 words, it will be considered that you haven't included in that letter. So it's really important that you stick to the word limit or the word conditions. Okay, there are some additional tips as well that can be used in order to achieve your desired scores. Okay, let me go through them. For the examination hall, I would strongly recommend my students to bring two pens and two pencils, because sometimes if one doesn't work, you can use the other. Please get a good rest of at least 7 to 8 hours at night before the examination day. You need to go to sleep as early as possible as well. Do not start studying anything new before you enter the examination hall. Please don't read or don't study anything on the examination hall, or in the examination hall, or on the examination day. The reason is that if you read something and if you don't know that you haven't gone through the same thing, you will get panicked and it will affect your psychological status, which will lead to low score in your examination. So it is really important that you don't study anything new before you enter the examination hall. I would recommend you to start reading at least for 1 to 2 days before the examination. Just you can you can listen to some audio files, that's fine, but don't study, don't read anything, don't pay attention to reading something. Okay, don't do that. Do not worry too much about the examination, as you have already prepared well enough. For the people who have prepared well enough, there is no need to worry at all. You can say all is well, all is well, all is well quite often, and then keep going. All right, don't worry too much about it. You need to assume that you have got a golden opportunity to exhibit your English communication skills, and that's what you're going to do. That's it. Don't worry too much about the assessment criteria, your target, and things like that. Prepare well enough and try to provide the maximum potential that you have got. That's it. You have to present the best skills that you have had, that you have developed over a period of time, to the examination. That's it. That's what you have to do. All right. So don't get tensed. It's okay. You need to assume that you have already prepared enough and you're going to deliver the maximum potential that you have. That's it. That's what you have to do. Take some deep breaths before you enter the examination hall and relax your mind. Being calm and relaxed is one of the key factors for your success. The reason behind this is that if you're calm and relaxed, you must be able to perform the best in you. And as a result, you must be able to pass your examination. Please write down the required information correctly, including your personal information in the cover pages of the task bullet and the answer booklet. So use the correct information. Okay, try to ensure that you spelled your name and all these details correctly or not. Okay. All right. Please practice handwriting regularly if your handwriting is not that good. I have come across some students whose handwriting was really bad. So try to split the letters within one word if your joint handwriting isn't that good or isn't that readable. All right. So it's better to write down the handwriting clearly, write down the letter clearly and legibly so that the reader doesn't have any issues in understanding the information that you would like to convey. I thank you so much for watching this video and I hope the techniques have been useful to you. If you find the techniques helpful, could you please like this video and share it with others? You can also click on the subscriber button with which you should be able to get updates on the regular basis. If you would like to get your first letter and speaking conversation assessed at free of cost, please send me a message on my WhatsApp number or the mobile number, that is +61 468 480 877. You can also contact me on my Facebook page, that is www.facebook.com/ucantutoring. My website address is https or www.ucanenglishtutoring.com. My email address is steve@ucanenglishtutoring.com. So I have been helping more than 12,000 students to achieve their desired scores in these three different examinations. If you follow these strategies, you must be able to pass your OET examination in your first attempt itself. I wish you good luck with your practice and examination. And thank you for watching this video. Have a good day. Take care.